Friday morning, and of course, it's today in the news on Vanguard Live. I am Precious Chikudi. We begin with the front pages of the papers, starting off with Vanguard. Vanguard is leading with Niger. ECOWAS orders deployment of standby force. The writer says direct a committee of chiefs of defense staff to activate standby force. Appeal to UN for support. Junta warns they would kill deposed president in event of any military intervention. Form new government, names 21 ministers. UN chief worries about Nigerian president's detention conditions. Spokesperson, that's come from spokesperson. Khan warns against a military intervention in Niger. Use diplomacy, not military action. Afenifere tells the ECOWAS. Dialogue has failed to resolve crisis, and that's coming from Cote d'Ivoire president. We can see a photo story showing the ECOWAS leaders meet in Abuja. On page 7, defection, APC NWC to welcome Edo Deputy Governor next week. It's not true. I'll sink swim with Obaseki, and that's coming from Tribal. APC Not Rehabilitation Center for Distressed Politicians, and that's coming from Oshomole. On page 12, APC decries escalation of banditry in Zamfara. On page 12, still, Tribunal sack Kano NNPP rep member over certificate forgery. Man City can't recreate treble win, says Guardiola. You can see that on page 31. Stories above. We have on page 11, Southeast governors, reps, army move against insecurity. Why Naira is depreciating. You can read that on page 20. Job racketeering, reps panel orders arrest of ex-FCC staffs. You can read that on page 8. Lastly, on the front page of Vanguard, we have 21 killed in fresh attacks on two Plateau communities. All right, let's take a look at the Nation newspaper. The Nation is leading with ECOWAS put troops on standby for Niger rep junta. Writer says all options on the table. UN worried over fate of President Bazoum. NBS reports agri sector lost 577 billion naira to flooding in 2022. Stories above, we have Oshomole to Tribal, ABC North Haven for failed politicians. You can see that on page 5. Southeast governors to battle insecurity collectively. Carbide ripened fruits dangerous. That's coming from NAFDAC. On page 28, 21 killed in Plateau Dawn attack by bandits. All right, let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian is leading with who blinks first? Niger forms new government as ECOWAS standby force ready for deployment. On big story, we have scenes of forgotten past. Youth Party false claim of 1 trillion naira saved in post-subsidy era. Reps issue arrest. Rep issues arrest warrant on IPPIS officer over alleged job racketeering. Otedola makes fresh move, raises stake in FBNH with 0.3 worth 2 billion naira. Nigerian artists raised 11 billion naira revenue from Spotify in 2022. All right, let's take a look at the Punch newspaper. The Punch is dealing with Niger crisis. ECOWAS troop on standby. Junta threatens to kill Bazoum. Rider says Tinubu says ECOWAS open to dialogue. UN, US worry over Bazoum in Junta's captivity. Concerns rise over looming humanitarian crisis, burden on Nigeria's finances, military. On page 19, flood hit Edo, Adamawa, Ekiti, 17 others. On page 3, elevator crash, more dust after Lagos female doctor tragic death. Bus crashes into Lagos shop, kills mother, daughter. Stories above. Carlo lobbies Ganduje for more Southeast ministerial slots. Naira slump, fuel price may go up, says marketers. Tribal fault defection claim, court halt removal. And that's all we can take on the front pages of the papers. Join us after the break. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back. And of course, if you're just joining, it's still today in the news on Vanguard Live. I am Precious Chikudi. Joining us to talk about, the story about ECOWAS yesterday ordered immediate deployment of standby force to restore constitutional order in the country is our correspondent, John Bosco. Good morning. It's good to have you join me. Tell me more about, the standby force deployment to restore constitutional order in Niger.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning for having me. Yeah, yesterday the ECOWAS heads of state and government, met in Abuja in its extraordinary session, the summit. The summit is primarily to look at the coup in Niger Republic. where the democratically elected president, was overthrown by the military junta. You recall that about 2 weeks ago, the ECOWAS heads of state and government, met in Abuja because Abuja is, for now, the headquarters, and you know that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the chairman of ECOWAS heads of state. So when they met the other time, they look at issues and then, pronounce some sanctions, including, blocking, closing borders with the Niger Republic, and even, thought of having military action in Niger. They also gave the military junta a 7-day ultimatum to reinstate the dethroned president. And, after the expiration of the ultimatum given to the military junta, and nothing has happened, they met yesterday in Abuja, the presidential villa Abuja, to take inventory, the way things have unfolded. And among the things, I read that, some of the resolutions in their communique was to direct the committee and its chief of defense staff to activate the ECOWAS standby force with all its elements immediately, and also order the deployment of the ECOWAS standby force to restore constitutional order in the Republic of Niger. Remember also that they had already the chief of defense staff in all from all member states, met about a week or 2 weeks ago, to look at the issues at hand and then see the possibility of, organizing themselves in case if the military junta refuses to reinstate the overthrown president. So as of yesterday, they were given a direct order to activate all the things they are supposed to do, all the military forces, so that they will be on standby and deploy them. They are directed to deploy all their forces, to Niger, so that if after all the efforts made, the dialogue, diplomatic dialogues and other things did not resolve the problem, then they may, use force, to ensure that the military junta complies with the directives from the ECOWAS.
All right. Of course, the junta also, they threatened to kill the president, Bazoum, if ECOWAS country attempts any military intervention to restore his rule. Can you tell us more on that one?
The thing has become a ding-dong affair. The military junta looks at it from the angle that this is an internal matter, and why should external influence, come to tell us what to do? Even though some persons are of the opinion that the action taken by the ECOWAS was an extreme action, extreme in the sense that ECOWAS supposed to have used all diplomatic means, all dialogues and negotiations, before, pronouncing anything like force. So the military junta now feels that it is a slight on them, that people from outside are trying to decide for them, what they should do. Besides, that Nigeria, that supplies electricity up to 70% of electricity to Niger, has cut off, electricity, which means that the center, the capital city, Niamey, is in darkness. So with all this, the country is now looking at it as a slide. And what they are trying to do is that if this a kind of, so to say, embarrassment continues, they have no other option than also to take the laws into their hands, maybe by trying to, be funny with the life of the dethroned president.
Of course, we know that ECOWAS wants to prove a point as to, so that also that, this serve as a deterrent to any of other ECOWAS country who decides to go, in this way. But in case ECOWAS decides to go to war, is Nigeria going to fund it, or who would fund this this whole military intervention?
Okay, it is an ECOWAS decision. The regional bloc, has taken the decision. Though President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the chairman of ECOWAS heads of state, but any decision that will be taken, it will be the regional bloc's decision and not Nigerian decision. So whatever is going to happen, every member state will contribute to whatever is required, whether finance, whether the military power or whatever. Every member state is expected to contribute. However, you know that Nigeria has the highest population of over 200 or 240 million people, while within the ECOWAS bloc, we have about 400 million. So which means that Nigeria is going to bear much of the burden of this regional bloc in case anything happens. Besides, Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the chairman of ECOWAS head of state.
At this time, and with what we're currently going through as a country, can we afford to fund this military intervention? What do you think about it? The fact that we're also sharing our borders are extremely porous, and we're sharing borders with Niger. Looking at the situation on ground, can we really afford to, go through military intervention?
And that is 1 million questions on the minds of every Nigerian, especially our brothers from the north. Some days ago, the Board of Ulamas, that's the Islamic clerics, their bishops, so to say, in the Christian parlance, met with the Mr. President. They have been addressing or conversing for dialogue instead of any military action in that place. Besides, if there is any problem, any crisis, any military action, Nigeria shares border with Niger. Remember also some time ago, the former president, General Muhammadu Buhari, had told Nigerians that some of his cousins are in Niger, which means sometimes within the flank of Katsina, Sokoto, and Agri, you may not even differentiate between Nigeria and Niger. So that becomes a problem. And then we see the influx of people from Niger, coming to Nigeria, and it's going to create crisis. It's also going to increase the security challenge the country is having. That's one of the reasons people are saying now. So some persons are of the opinion that Nigeria should trade with caution, even though it is not Nigeria that decides. It is the regional body that decides. But so many Nigerians, especially people from the north, who are very close to this country that is having this problem now, have been advising that let Nigeria not go into war with their neighbors, because it means that they're going to even fight some of their own. Because some people in Niger, belong to Nigeria, and also some people in Nigeria belong to Niger. Besides, the thing is going to, cause a kind of a financial challenge, because for now, the economy is bleeding. Should Nigeria, should ECOWAS decide a full war on Niger, which means Nigeria is going to spend much, and the money, so the government tells us the money is not there for now. So it's going to be a big challenge, really. It's going to affect our economy, it's going to affect our security.
All right, we have had, various groups call on ECOWAS to adopt the option of diplomacy rather than military option. Can you tell us more about these groups individually?
Mostly, these are the people that are, sharing borders, with Niger. Especially, like I said, Islamic clerics. The clerics made up of different states of Islam. They even met Mr. President. They came and met with him. I also remember that the former head of state, Absalam Abubakar, had also suggested that they should explore the option of diplomacy and negotiation. And the 14th emir of Kano, Sanusi Lamido Sanusi, also who visited Mr. President after coming back from Niger, also harped on the issue of negotiation and diplomacy. So even the regional bodies within the country, you have had Ohanese, you have had Middle Belt Forum, you have had South Forum, and other groups. Afar also is among the groups that have, asked the government to explore the option of, dialogue and diplomacy instead of using, full force, in sorting out this matter.
All right. Thank you so much, John Bosco, for that detailed report. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Right, let's go to Mr. and Mrs. And Mrs. is speaking this morning, says, Mr. Solomon, why should your boss decide to give you a treat at a 5-star hotel without your wife? Go back and thank him for giving Solomon a treat, but tell him solo woman is complaining. Exactly. Why would your boss ask you, give you a treat instead of, telling your wife to come along? Go back and meet him. What God has joined together, let no man put asunder. And on that note, this is where we draw the curtains on the morning show this morning. Also, remember that you can equally like, share, and subscribe on all our social media platforms showing on your screen. To find out up-to-date stories, go to our website, www.vanguardindia.com, to find out more. I am Precious Chukudi, and make sure you have a fantastic weekend, and thank you for watching.